as you've mentioned, with the nickel thematic and the fact that there's the improving opportunities in Tanzania, that we're poised to actually have a significant re-rate.
Hello and welcome to Paydirt TV. I'm Dominic Piper. Today I'm joined by David Reiki, Executive Director of Adavale Resources. David, thanks for coming in.
Pleasure. Thanks, Dom. Thanks for having me.
David, now Adavale have got this really enticing Kabanga Jirani nickel project in Tanzania, part of that East African nickel belt opportunity there. When last we talked with the guys from Adavale, you dove straight into drilling last year, but it seems like you've taken a little bit of a step back since then.
Yeah, look, I think we've taken the decision to find out what we did find, what we didn't find. We've decided that gravity was the missing ingredient for what we were doing, and that's actually proved to be a real catalyst for us and how our thinking sort of started to merge in on those areas that we want to focus on. So that's really been the tipping point. We've since actually done some heli-EM, which we can talk about during the course of this interview.
Yeah, so you've got a big ground holding there. What was the idea with the gravity? Was that to really target areas and refine where you're looking?
That's exactly it. I mean, the whole idea is to get that resolution and definition around those areas that's going to give us the greatest level of prospectivity and chance of hitting these massive sulphides. So we've taken the view that we've gone on all of the southern licences, which is about 1,000 square kilometres, and then honed in by way of the heli to about 200 square kilometres, from which then we're finding areas or pockets within them that is going to be, we think, the jewels in the crown. So that's what we're trying to focus in on.
So that EM survey that you've released recently, that's really starting to refine your targets. What have you found out from that process?
Yeah, I mean, when we first start, we look at the gravity, which would give us a general area, and then we've actually gone and flown these areas over by way of the EM. So it's like cookies. You look at it from the point of view of a chocolate chip cookie. You've got the general ingredient as to where it is, and you're trying to chase the chocolate chips. So we're using those tools that we've got to do the gravity and then go to the EM. So we're focusing in on those areas which will host the massive sulphides. So that whole process that we've done has really been, quite a value capture for us. So we've got a lot of rich information, and now we're actually starting to delineate those targets. So you've asked about what we've got. We're probably looking now in the order of about 8 to 10 key priority drill targets, which I don't use this word often, but we really are excited about where we're going and what we've found. And they're scattered through all of our areas that we've thought were most prospective. Not all of them, which is good. So you're actually hoping that you're going to find those ones that are going to give us the greatest merit. So the guys are still working on that. It's an iterative process. We think we're in a really good position to start doing drilling within 3 weeks.
That's really exciting to hear that you're going to go back in with the drill rig. How many of them targets will you hit? How much drilling will you actually do?
The plan currently, and we had more money, we do more drilling. We're talking between about 5,000 and 7,000 metres of drilling. The predominance will be the RCE because we've got a weathered profile. We want to get down to what we find, which is the rocks, which is going to be hosting the right mineralisation. We're looking at this point in time of the 9 heli-EM areas. We've got about 6 that really stand out, like literally jump off the page to us. And in those areas, there's probably 1 or 2 targets. If you do the numbers, there's between about 8 and 10, roughly, that we'd go and say, yes, we want to drill in. Now, all of the targets that we've identified, we haven't flown. So there's a latent opportunity there for us to go back and revisit them. So once we start to get that level of understanding and correlation, we're trying to get the coincident mag, EM, the right rock types, so we can give us the greatest chance of exploration success.
And from there, so what can we expect from there then? If the drilling starts in the next few weeks, can we expect to see results by the end of the year, hopefully?
Absolutely. I mean, we all love Father Christmas, and that's what we're targeting. We'd like to think that we can do that on a more of a stage basis. So if we're actually getting any good representations in the rock chips and the drill core, visuals and like, we'll certainly be announcing that to market. But we're trying to streamline the whole process, so we're using 1 rig to start with. If we've got real good success, we'd like to look at expanding that. It's going to be subject to the availability of funds to do that. But sure, we'll start in the end of September, first week of October. The drilling will be continuous until we can't drill any further, which is basically constrained by some of the weather conditions that may prevail. So yes, certainly we'll be drilling right up to December, but the announcements that we've got will be meaningful on the back of the results that we're going to get. So we streamlined that, so we're going to get our results out as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah, it's not like the East African nickel belt is completely brand new. We do know, of course, you've got a neighbour in a massive Kabanga nickel project. Are you looking for something similar? Is there other opportunities up and along that belt to replicate Kabanga?
Look, absolutely. I mean, there's some really clever guys out there who will give us some feedback and some knowledge and information as to where we sit relative to Kabanga. It's a monster. You know, it's circa 60 million tonnes. You know, circa 3%. It's a real beauty. We'd like to be able to find something of that sort of order of magnitude. And what we're also trying to do, in delivering to the narrative, is actually give an idea of the contextual aspect of where Kabanga sits, how big it is, and we're going to start putting that into the announcements going out, because we could have a number of Kabangas with all of the targets that we've actually identified. We've got the right size, we've got the right shape, we just need to make sure that the right mineralisation. So we would like to think that within our East African nickel belt, there are other opportunities like Kabanga that will emerge.
Nickel obviously has had a tremendous run in the last 18 months in that whole EV thematic, but the situation in Tanzania is also improving. It was only a couple of years ago that investors were fleeing the country. Are you finding a new attitude and a new sort of environment there?
It's refreshing, yeah, absolutely. Don, we've got a situation where BHP's made that significant and quite strategic investment in Kabanga nickel. Not a small amount of money, it's about $100 million and it's staged. That whole focus back on what Tanzania offers by way of opportunity has always been there. People are starting to come back, but that's only really been on the back of some of the improvements in the relationships that have been improved over the last few years, and that's a reflection, I think, of the government. Their attitude, their welcoming. What the ground rules are now, and I think that's probably spurred BHP to go back and revisit the opportunities in that country. So I think generally, I mean, it's stepping in the right direction, and you've seen that with a number of projects that have come up now, have actually back into production mode. So we think that where we're situated at the moment, as you've mentioned, with the nickel thematic and the fact that there's the improving opportunities in Tanzania, that we're poised to actually have a significant re-rate if we start hitting what we think we're going to hit, which is the sulphides.
And I'm sure, as well as a significant re-rate, you'll have a fair few much larger companies looking at those results and paying close interest to them.
Look, I'm a corporate guy, and you're always looking at relationships and you're looking at fostering those opportunities, as we will do. I think in all likelihood, we've actually got a lot of potential. We just need to sort of start to catalyse that into some drilling results. And I think when we start hitting what we think we're going to hit, which is these massive sulphides, I think then the phone will ring, because we have a dominant position there. We just need to make sure that the methodologies that we've used can be overlaid to those other areas that we've got. And it's the recipe of actually finding the massive sulphides. And I think that's the whole opportunity and the risk assessment that other people would be looking at for us to demonstrate not only you've got all this potential, but you've got some exploration success. Drill bits will basically determine how good we're going to be and how many calls we're likely to receive.
Well, we'll sure be keeping an eye out to see if there's any mention of the calls being received in the following announcements. David, thanks very much for joining us today. Best of luck with that drilling programme, and hopefully you can come back in the new year and let us know about some fantastic set of results.
That'd be a pleasure. Thanks for everyone for listening to.